Okay, so we are doing a trial run on our podcast,
Did
which
we come
is
up with a name for this yet?
it's two dudes talking about motorcycles.
Okay, yeah, that's easy.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I actually went ahead and shortened it to two dudes talk motorcycles because I felt like that rolled off the tongue better.
That's
And
much
it made
better.
and it made the email sound much shorter.
That's much better than two dudes, one motorcycle. That's too similar to
That
other
is
stuff. Yeah.
Yep. That is not that was not a good idea.
No.
Okay, so we're just doing a trial run. We're trying to see how things go because we always like to talk about motorcycles, and anytime there's a new motorcycle announced or something cool going on, we talk about it. So we figured, why not talk about it and also record ourselves talking about it.
Yeah, we're just gonna give it a shot, and boy, what a time to try with what's happened this last month in motorcycle news.
Yeah, so we had the EIECA, the big motorcycle expo thing.
Yeah,
that just
I
happened.
wonder if my notes have it here. I don't know if they do, but it was anyway. Yeah, big list of new bikes announced for 2023.
In fact, I think I had it pulled up here somewhere. Oh yeah, the EICMA 2022.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the big motorcycle expo where they just kind of announced a bunch of new models and everything like that. And we both ride ADV bikes. I have the Tiger 900, the 2022 model.
I have the 2019 Triumph Scrambler X 1200 XE.
So we're both big fans of adventure bikes. We love to go ride, do either day rides or overnight rides. Back earlier this year, we went to Colorado, over to Ouray, and for a whole weekend, and it was a lot of fun. So we always try to keep an eye on new and upcoming motorcycles, especially if they're ADV bikes, just to see, what's out there, what we can, potentially either buy in the future or just know about, because it's always fun to know about new bikes.
I think it's like I said, I think this is a pretty good opportunity just to try it out, record ourselves for the first time with it, talking about bikes. Because what did we talk about all the time? So we both started on Honda 500 cc's, different models.
Yeah.
And then once I got my 2019, you were still on your 500.
Yeah.
Because on my 1200, you had the 500.
Yeah.
What was something we always talked about, saying that some certain company should probably be doing?
So pretty much every manufacturer right now has, or had, at the time, pretty much every manufacturer had a middleweight adventure bike. So we're talking anywhere between 600 to 900 cc or so. Everyone except for Honda. Well, at least any manufacturer that makes adventure bikes. And Honda, you either had the CB500X, which I have, which is a very basic, beginner-friendly bike that's adventure-esque, but it doesn't really have any of the features that help it be very adventurous. The suspension travels not very much.
ADV diet.
Yeah, it does not have heated grips, no heated seat, no cruise control, none of the the creature comforts that you might want from a bike that you want to ride long distance. And so eventually I upgraded to the Tiger 900 because that is a very, very great midweight adventure bike. It's on the higher end of midweight, but it's still considered a midweight adventure bike.
Well, and it seems like part of the whole midweight marketability is the price, right? Because you look at these larger ADV bikes, even the Triumph Scrambler, I got it on a steal. It's nowhere. If I was to buy my bike brand new, it's not in my price range. So I think part of that midweight ADV, not just engine size, but affordability for the everyday person, because not everyone can be a dentist and go out and grab a GSA 1200, 1250.
Yeah. And excuse the dogs in the background. Yeah. You might be able to hear them, but
yep, they can hear them.
So the expo happened, and Honda finally announced the Honda Trans Alp, which is a 799 cc.
Was it 749
or 749? Basically, a 700 cc. 7 to 800 cc bike.
755
cc midweight adventure bike. And this was a bike that a lot of people were kind of looking forward to or hoping to see from Honda in the future or come out, because everyone else has a midweight adventure bike. Yeah. Pretty much anyone that makes adventure bikes, at least. And it's kind of an iconic name because it was a big name in the early 2000s and the late 90s.
Yeah, and But like that's what we would talk about all the time, like on our rides. Like, you know, I'd just be like, I'd be bragging. It's like, oh, this bike can pull. It's not my 500, you know. And you know, and we'd talk about how you have the Tenere 700, but good luck finding one of those.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
like,
very hard to find those, and to this day,
if you find them, they're not going to go for the 10,000 MSRP. Like, people are. They're like a Tacoma truck,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So you have that issue with those. That's with Yamaha, and then there was those older Suzuki, and we'll get to that with the newer Suzuki that was also announced this year. But there was these older ones. They look kind of like
they were definitely more street and road oriented.
Yeah,
smaller wheels. You know, you got your 17 or 18 inch up front.
Yeah,
17 in the back and stuff. Very road oriented. Not a lot of off-road features. Still considered an adventure bike, but just a very road-oriented adventure bike.
Yeah, then but then you start hitting like above that 15K mark with like the Triumphs, the BMW F8 or
F850.
Yeah, the F850s and those ones, and those alikes. You know, I guess if you like white bread, there's like the Versus, but again, they're not going to be very off-road oriented.
Yeah, the Versus was
more sport
also
tour.
Yeah.
So anyways, like Honda, like, why aren't you guys making a midweight ADV? You're cheaper than all these European brands.
And Honda is known for their reliability.
Yeah.
Like, people trust a Honda name because they are generally very reliable bikes, and they make a lot of good bikes.
Yeah.
So
they sure do. But they were like, that's what we talk about all the time. Is like, Honda, you need a midweight ADV, and because you're on your CBX, I'll be honest, I was kind of a Trans Alp was something in the far back of my mind. I didn't really, that was like a bike of the olden days to me.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and I didn't even really know about it until I read up on it after the announcement. I just knew the name, but I didn't know much about the bike. And Honda finally announced it, and we wanted to talk about it a little bit today because okay, let's just start off with this.
Let's be fair, and we should talk about first like the objective stuff about it.
Yeah, let's talk about the objective stuff. So spec wise, it is a very good bike. Do you have the specs pulled up?
Very blunt, or a little bit. It's a 555cc 4-valve per cylinder parallel twin.
Is it 555?
I'm sorry, 755. Sorry about that. Yeah. And before we go too far, that's the exact same engine that was announced in their
Hornet.
The Hornet. Yes, Thank you. The new Hornet. You know, and so this is a new engine for Honda for this year, which is, as far as I can tell from Honda, this is just me talking. I don't know that much about them, but it seems like they don't do much with their engines very often because they're so. They're good.
They're so reliable, and you know, once they come out with one engine, they try to put it across different lines of bikes. We've seen it, like our first bikes have the same exact engine, just tuned a little bit differently.
Yeah,
because mine was a mini ADV bike and his was a cruiser. So but same like the 450
same engine.
Is it like the 489 or 470 something cc?
Something like that. Yeah.
So same engine, and this is kind of what we're seeing again is. You know, it's the same engine being used on a street bike as well as an ADV bike. And a lot of manufacturers do that. Pretty much any manufacturer does that because it's, you know, it's cheaper, it's more economical, and it's just easier to push them out down the supply chain. And they're good engines. Honda's known for their good engines.
My lawnmower is a Honda, and that thing's been running since the 90s.
And so other than the engine, you know, you got your standard ADV fairing. You got show suspension, and it's fully adjustable. Front and back, which is everyone loves. It's got good discs. I don't think they're Brembos. I think they're Nissan brands that they use. Yeah, they use in a lot of their bikes.
That's correct.
And it does have, as far as I know, I think it does have heated grips and cruise control and all the usual stuff. I think those are all
options.
Or at least they're optional.
Yeah, at the very least they're optional. I'm not entirely sure on cruise control, but I believe that is something
that you can add.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which it would make sense, again, for like the market this is going for. Obviously, it's not a 900 or 850, but again, with what Honda does, you know, like, I think they're going for a price point that the Tenere would offer.
Yeah.
But this is obviously going to have more creature comforts to it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I think the potential buyer would be looking for.
Yeah.
And, you know, beyond that, it's got different riding modes. So you got your standard, like, off-road modes, road modes, rain
right.
mode. And yeah, it's got a TFT, which I am a big fan of because I like being able to see all the information on the screen and being able to kind of customize it and adjust it depending on what I'm doing. And before I bought my Tiger 900, I test rode an Africa Twin, a brand new Africa Twin. And I really liked the TFT on that just because it was very customizable, had a lot of information. That one supported Apple CarPlay. I don't think the Trans Alp supports Apple CarPlay. It just supports like Bluetooth connectivity.
Oh, okay.
So just the basic
Yeah.
stuff. Because it's a smaller TFT.
Boy, that'd be kind of smart for them. That would like really like.
That would be a really good selling point if they put that
Yeah.
on there. But anyways, besides that point, it's got all the standard fairing, and it actually has a very decent selection of riding modes. So aside from the usual like road, sport, rain, and off-road modes, it has a usable user selection mode. You can turn off ABS and a lot of the assists, which I can't even fully turn on ABS on my Tiger 900 because I have the Rally instead of the Rally Pro.
I keep forgetting that because like the off-road Pro side. I mean, and that this is off tangent. It's just I'm just gonna put it out there. Like I have an off-road Pro. I can turn all that off. It's a little much to be honest. I'm not like.
But at least you have the option.
I have the option.
Nice.
Yeah.
So it's cool that Honda's doing that with the Trans Alp. And beyond that, it's tube tires versus tubeless, which I personally prefer tubeless.
Yep.
But that's a personal preference. I don't do any crazy off-roading, so if you do some crazy off-roading and stuff, maybe tube would be a better preference.
Yeah, and that's again, I'm not going to try to be unfair toward the bike, but I think if you're going to do some more intense off-roading, this might not be the bike, but we can
probably not.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah.
And then any other objective things spec wise or to the bike?
I think this would kind of blend into just being like just talking points toward the bike, I guess. Is that we can move into the talking about like the Trans Alp history a little bit.
Okay.
I haven't really looked in too much to it, but sometime in the 80s this bike came out. And as the years went on, it got a power bump along with the Africa Twin from there. And then at some point, it just like Honda
they just kind of discontinued.
Yeah, they just stopped it. But and again, I wasn't super familiar with the Trans Alp as a motorcycle. I'd heard the name, I knew it was a thing. I think on Instagram or something. You'd see like people who are still riding their old beat up Trans Alps like across the world and things like that.
And a lot of them,
it was a name. It was a popular name.
It was a name, and it looked like pretty standard fairing for that time period. Very blocky, very kind of squared off designs and stuff like that. And you see that with pretty much a lot of older motorcycles. So that brings us to.
But yeah, so that just goes back to like we would gripe all the time about like, and this was even before I had my Scrambler when I found it used for like such a good price that I found it at. Right, I was just like there needs to be like an ADV bike that's like not 15K plus.
Yeah, something nice and
reliable,
more affordable,
more power.
very reliable.
Yeah. We're 6 foot something men, and we each weigh over 200 pounds. Like a little 500 bike, like pulling long miles.
It gets very tiring.
Yeah, especially if we hit like a hill.
Oh yeah. My CB500 would struggle up hills a lot.
Yeah, a lot. So it was, and then so that was like to me that's moving into the importance of the Trans Alp. Not like historically it was a bike that, and back in the day I can't really talk to that because I see older bikes and they don't have as much power as bikes today have.
Yeah.
Unless you're looking at like Speed Demons and like the old like the crazy sport bikes of back of the day.
Exactly.
But like so that was just something that was like missing. There wasn't a lot of competition for midweight ADV. Like the Tenere 700 seemed, in my mind, from what I could see, like at the price point I was looking at getting, it's like, okay, the Tenere 700, like if you don't want to spend 12,000, 13 plus, get a Tenere.
And the Tenere is a great bike.
It's a little
super
extreme.
reliable. It is definitely more off-road oriented than on-road oriented for an adventure bike. But a lot of people love it for its simplicity. It doesn't have a lot of like the electronics and stuff that you'd find in more expensive and complex adventure bikes, which in turn does help with reliability a lot. You have less electronics to worry about.
And that reminds me. Actually, that's one thing I did want to bring up. Back to like talking about some of the features of the this new Trans Alp is that it is a ride by wire.
Yeah,
I did. Okay. I don't know if we mentioned that before. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, traction control, it has all the rider aids and wheelie controls and things like that.
Which is very nice.
Yeah, just something to go along with it. And the Tenere, like, I don't know if the Tenere had power modes. I don't remember.
I think it does have just like 3 modes that you can select. I think it's like road, sport, and off-road, or just something very basic. I don't know if it has, I think it has traction control, but I don't know if, and they just announced like their new, the Tenere, I forgot what the exact name for it, but it's kind of like the more adventure-oriented trim.
Oh, yeah.
So last year they announced the World Rally, which actually has 2 fuel tanks, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I figured it was going to have the word rally in its title.
And it has like a proper TFT instead of like the old school LCD little screen. And this one does have riding modes. I don't know if the base model has any of that.
But even then, like, I just like with like the base model, if that's what we're gonna call it, is like that hits just such like a perfect market for somebody who wants to go out and do some stuff for not like, it's a lot of money, but not you're not buying
You're not buying a Tiger 900.
It's
not
like,
spending 15 to 17K on a bike.
Yeah, you're not buying a bike that is easily worth more than a car.
Yeah,
it's like a used car. So it's like, there's just like that importance of it, of like, it's just gonna open this market to a lot of people. And even though like we said we're going to mention it, but I have some opinions about this bike. I told one of my friends who wants to get into riding, I said, hey man, keep your eye open on this bike. I said, like, there's some things I don't like about it, but like, if you are a responsible adult, you can ride, or you're going to learn to ride, I could see this being
I think it would be a very good, like, maybe starter bike if you want to spend a little bit more money, and something that you can grow into instead of outgrow really quickly, like a CB500.
Yeah, and like from at a 755, I think like you're gonna have plenty of power.
That's definitely plenty of power.
Yeah, so like so
I could see it being a lot of money too.
It could be a one and done purchase of a bike. You're not gonna be buying one within 8 months of getting your first bike, like somebody I know.
So should we move on to the subjective part of the bike? Or do you have more to share about the importance of it?
No, I think that's pretty much all I really have to say for it. Like, I think we should, at some point we should still bring it in, but we can do that as we talk about the subjectivity of the bike, but comparing it to the other bikes out there, like more specifically with like the new one that was announced.
Okay.
That's all I really have to add for it. Like, it seems like it has a culture and a history to it, which, as a Triumph owners, I think like it's vain, but it is what it is.
It's cool to have a bike that has a bit of history behind the name, or like a bit of a heritage, and Trans Alp is one of those bikes.
Yeah. So
so that brings us to the point that we both have kind of like,
are they honoring that heritage visually?
I think technically they are honoring that heritage, like spec wise, deep down.
And you have a picture of it.
It's a good bike. I do have a picture. But what we did not like about it is how it looks. And this is a purely subjective thing, because someone else could totally think that the bike looks good.
Yeah.
And someone could think my bike doesn't look good, because it's not for everyone. ADV bikes have a very wide range of styles.
I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you, but like, if I've gone on dates or something, or like talking to somebody about motorcycle and our trips that we take, and like they'll see our bikes next to each other, they're like, I like that one. They always point at mine.
Yeah, it's true, because yours looks like a classic. Your bike looks like a motorcycle.
It's like a naked ADV.
Yeah, what people would picture a motorcycle to look like. It's got the round headlight, the metal fuel tank, and all the guts hanging out and stuff like that.
Yeah, beautiful exhaust.
Yep.
Yeah. But like,
my bike has fairings. It has a bigger tank, but it doesn't have a cool round retro style headlight. It's a very modern looking bike.
Yeah, and for people who don't know motorcycles or don't understand them, like just like more often than not, it seems like when I've shown pictures of our trips, people are like, I like that one, and they're pointing at mine.
That's fine.
But I said, but look at that one too. It's got all these nice little edges. It's so going to be so comfortable, long distance.
So,
but anyway,
the Trans Alp is, in our opinion, just a very dull looking bike. I wouldn't say it's like, I have a picture right here, so we're gonna just pull that up. So this is the Trans Alp, and it just looks very basic.
It's I love the colors. Like,
I do love the colors.
Just like with
the colors
Africa
and the
Twin.
golden rims.
Or the golden wheels.
Sorry, it looks like a mini Africa Twin from the side.
Yeah.
My biggest issue that I had with it was the front of it. Is they're reusing the same headlight that they use from the Hornet, and I think it's the same headlight that they use on like their NC700. Maybe even the CB500X. I think. Or it's a very similar design.
I'm not sure if I said it the first time I saw it, because when we first talked about it, but I was looking at it, and one of the thoughts I had was, this looks like the NC750 that went to the gym once.
Yeah.
and that's all it talks about now.
Yeah. And it just, I feel like with adventure bikes, they're technical machines, they're practicality over looks, basically, or functionality over looks.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, because a lot of people might not think like the R1250, the GS bikes, the BMW GS bikes. Some people think they look very ugly because they're blocky and bulky and stuff. But that is the image that they've had for the past 40 years.
It's true.
And
yeah.
They've been running with it, and it's a very recognizable image.
Yeah, and like that's a recognizable image, right? And like we jumped to the Trans Alp hasn't been around for a long time now.
That's true. Yeah.
I like the looks of the old Trans Alps.
I like the looks too. I feel like they fit the time period much better. They kind of look a little bit. I still think they're a little bland looking, but at least they kind of work for.
They have that retro
when they came out
taste to them.
They got the more square headlight.
And for me, it just feels like with what I'm looking at, it looks like an NC750 or like the. I'm just never been a fan of those triangular beaks, I guess.
Yeah.
On some of these Honda bikes, personally, and I just think like for like the heritage of the bike and for everything, to me it still looks like a city bike. But again, I don't want to be too mean to it or unfair, because like I said, this would be one of my friends. He's not very tall.
Yeah.
I can't find my note that I had for like the seat height for it, but it seems approachable for everybody. So I think like that's like a huge win for it.
Oh yeah.
I just my gripe as a consumer is that I just wish they could have done something different. Like even like, and I can get into this later, but like Honda lately seems to just be kind of like putting spare parts together to make new bikes in terms of aesthetics.
They just
engines are beautiful. They run great. They're wonderful.
Tech wise, they're wonderful bikes.
Yeah.
It's just the looks, and that kind of goes the same for the Hornet and stuff. It's not an ADV bike, not really the topic, but it just looks kind of meh.
And I remember like the old Hornets, because I've seen the old Hornets around and stuff.
Yeah, like, they were like a full-on sports bike.
They look
right?
cool.
Yeah.
Like I've heard this from sport bike riders that like like Hondas they're sleep machines, but it looks fast to me.
Yeah.
And like it looked good. It looked like it belonged. It looked like it owned the name Hornet.
Yeah.
Because Hornet's like, oh, Hornet, that sounds fast.
Yeah.
It's like there's an F-18, the Hornet, F-18 Hornet. Like, so like.
So to see it kind of just have this bland look was just kind of like a big letdown. And someone out there, if you're watching this, you might think it's a good looking bike, and if you want to get into ATV riding, go for it, because spec wise it is a great bike. And I'm sure like knowing Honda's reputation for being reliable and well performing, it's going to perform great. They'll probably outlast either of our bikes, if you think
honestly,
about it.
probably,
because it's a Honda.
Yeah. So like
but looks wise, not my favorite.
No, me either. It's just I wish that they, and this is just me like throwing pennies in a well, but that they could have just like they could have used the headlight or a variant of like the Africa Twin, or hell, even like they could have taken that round headlight from the Rebels, the new Rebels, those four lights.
Yeah, just something to kind of give it a more distinct look, a distinct visual character to differentiate it from like other ADV bikes and stuff. So people look at it and it's instantly recognizable. Just like the Tenere, people see that it's got that quad LED headlamp.
And I guess maybe that's why they didn't
like
do that, because they didn't want to look too much like but like it.
But they could have come up with a new design at least, or something that still fits in that housing, just looks a little bit better.
And I know how like
very flat front.
Yeah, like, and I know how like armchair quarterback that sounds as we sit here in armchairs, but like. Because
I don't know anything about motorcycles.
I'm not a designer. I don't know. Like I just wish that they had. Again, this is as a consumer. I wish they had just done something that looks different from the NC750, the Hornet, the kind of like the CB 500X.
Yeah.
And then also there's like, I think it's one of our street bikes, like the 500F, I think. I could be wrong on that one.
It's one of the 500s. I can't.
Yeah, it's
sure.
one of their, yeah.
But Honda definitely has had much better designs with both their street and ADV bikes. Just look at the Africa Twin. It's a very distinguished look. It looks mean.
Yeah.
It's got its own like look to it. And on their street bikes, you know, they got the CB or the CF like 650. One of their,
the CB 650R?
Yeah. One of their naked sports bikes with its round headlight and its
beautiful
quad exhaust.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Those beautiful headers.
Honda can make some very good looking bikes. Even even the Goldwing.
Goldwing
that is like a staple.
I was even going to say like their little
touring bikes.
Like, you know, we all know the Groms and like
yeah, they're so distinguished. But someone's going to see the Hornet. I feel they're just going to go like, I don't know what, unless they know what they're looking for.
Yeah,
it doesn't look like anything really special.
And that actually, not to derail that conversation, but that did remind me of one thing with the Hornet, because it's the exact same engine. And from what I've been reading on it, is that they have made no tunes so this is a street engine, like an engine in a street bike. And from what I've been able to read, and I will fall on my sword if I'm wrong, but I have not seen anything about them having any sort of different tuning to the engine. So like, and if you are going to do off road, as we've learned, you know, it's a lot nicer to have like that low end torque down, the torque down low, have that power down low for you.
And that is subject to change, however, because this was just announced in Europe, and I'm pretty sure it's going to come to the U.S. because I feel like it has to.
Yeah.
But they haven't announced U.S. pricing or anything like that, or what the U.S. spec might be. So it might be a little bit different when the information that we're currently seeing, but it's most likely going to be like close enough or fairly similar.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that is the case, but I was just from what I've been able to find. Yeah. I have gotten no other information like for like the power displacement.
Yeah.
And some people online have said like, oh, like they haven't, which just doesn't. Again, I haven't ridden the Horton. I don't know if it is a Wiley bike or not. Like, is that a fast boy bike? I don't know.
No, knowing Honda, it's going to be probably a very
linear,
straight line response, which isn't a bad thing.
No, it wouldn't be.
It's very predictable and great.
But it's not like I'd be taking this bike myself, like up any like crazy hills.
Yeah. Okay, so now the comparison to another. Should we move on?
Yeah. Okay. I was just going to say, like, I think, because I really haven't looked too much into this new 800DE. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Suzuki 800D. It's the V-Strom.
Oh, okay.
So, is it the V-Strom?
V-Strom. You're right.
V-Strom, yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
So, Suzuki also announced a new ADV bike. So, they had the V-Strom, was it the 650? Or 600? Basically, so they have their V-Strom like 1200 or 1000 or 1100. So, their big ADV bike. And now they also announced something new for the midweight ATV market. And
okay. Yeah.
And it's the Suzuki 800DE, which is around 800cc, give or take a few, because they always round up.
Yeah.
And this was announced the same day as the Trans Alp, so it gave us a very good perspective on how two different ADV bikes, midway ADV bikes from two different manufacturers, and how similar and different they can be. So, let's compare the specs.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to pull up some of those that I had here. So what I have like ready to go off of the DE, the 800DE, that it's sitting at 82 horsepower, and they also have a brand new engine.
Yeah,
for this bike,
776 cc's.
Yep, there we go. Yeah,
82 horsepower, and it's it's got the 21-inch wheel up front, similar suspension travel, and also all the different kinds of electronics and things like that.
They seem to be like a neck and neck for each other.
Yeah.
I didn't. Again, I'm gonna have to pat. Like, I don't know how much reading you've done into this one, but in terms of specs, or not specs, but like creature comforts, rider aids, things like that. But since we were just talking about looks, that bike I've never been on a Suzuki in my life, but that bike looks a lot better than the Trans Alp.
It does look a lot better, and I have a picture of that as well. Those are the two pictures I was able to find before we scrambled this together. And this is the V-Strom. So we could see, and I feel like it's still not like the prettiest looking bike out there, but it's distinguished it has its own look to it that I think works for the Suzuki brand and like their current design image with like some of their other more touring
It
bikes and
looks,
stuff.
yeah, and like just like what you mentioned, like with your bike or like the BMWs, it has like some just rugged lines to it. It has some utilitarian
really
function
like.
about it. Yeah, like
It looks rugged. It looks like it's it can tackle like an obstacle and walk away maybe with a few scratches, but it'll still keep going.
yeah, yeah.
And I personally really like
I do like the look of
this
it.
look, kind of like that vertical headlight and stuff. I think it looks really nice. And compared to the Trans Alp,
Yeah,
it looks much better.
Yeah, as having owned a Honda, I've never ridden a Suzuki. I can't weigh into it. I just don't know about like terms of like are they as reliable or not? And
I would probably say like I don't know. I feel like Honda's very hard, like sets a very high bar, but
yeah,
I think from most Japanese manufacturers you can expect fairly good reliability, especially
Right.
compared to
and that's what
their European and American counterparts.
Yeah, we don't buy American here, but like no, I think it looks really good. And if it came down to it, like once we get like price points, and like a little bit more information on them, and even taking into like the seat height for like for more of the vertically challenged friends I have who want to ride. Why wouldn't somebody just like, well, that obviously looks are subjective, of course.
Yeah.
But let's say they're in the same price point. Say they're like $1,000 hypothetically from each other.
Yeah.
Honda, Suzuki.
I personally would go for the Suzuki just purely based off the looks.
Yeah.
Like if I was shopping between those two bikes, I don't know. I don't think I could get over the looks of the Trans Alp just being kind of bland because the Suzuki has a much more distinguished,
well, and again,
interesting look to it.
Yeah, and again, this is like in my mind, it's just like I would test ride the Suzuki first, if assuming like they had the same creature comforts, rider aids, all that stuff. I think that like just from what information that we have so far on this thing, I would would tip the balance if looks weren't involved.
Yeah,
tubeless to tube tires for what I have in mind to use the bike for.
Makes sense.
So
and neither me or you do any super crazy off-road riding and stuff.
No, we're pretty vanilla with that.
Yeah.
So
our off-road rides involve basically like hitting loose dirt fire roads here and there and stuff. No crazy crawling up a mountain or jumping a bike over random obstacles or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I do not have the energy for that most of the time. Also, my bike's expensive and I don't want to break it, and it's already got a scratch on it because I dropped it earlier this year.
Yeah, I know that. You sent me the text, and like in my mind, I'm thinking like, oh shit, this guy just had a wreck.
Yeah,
and like, but no, it's like a little tip.
Yeah, and you saw the video. You even saw the video. It was just being like, boop. The bike decided to take a nap and scratch its gas tank, which is the only thing I could not fix easily, unfortunately. But it's okay. It happens.
Yeah, but that's and that would be the thing too. It just seems like with, and this isn't like a jab at Japanese bikes or anything like that. It's just like, but if you drop them, I don't necessarily feel as. Same.
Yeah. If I would have dropped my like CB500 when I had it,
it would have sucked.
It would have sucked, but I wouldn't feel nearly as bad as dropping the Triumph, because it's so much cheaper.
Yeah, like if you bust a fairing on like it. I think last time I looked, like if I was to like need a new tank on my bike, like that's like going to be anywhere from $800 to like $1,000.
Yeah, I don't know how much the tank for my bike would be, but the scratch is small enough that I'm not planning on replacing it. I'm just going to find some paint to like touch it up. Anyways, back to the midweight, the two midweight announced bikes is the Trans Alp and the new V-Strom 800. Very similar spec wise. Very different look wise.
Yeah.
And me personally, I feel like a bike is more than just like a utility for me, because it's something that I only ride on weekends. I don't really commute to work on it. I don't use it for practical reasons. I use it for fun. Mm-hmm. And if I'm buying something for fun, I'm spending that much money on it, I want it to look good. I not only want it to like function well, but I want it to look good. I want to like turning light on in the garage and looking at it and being like, yeah, that thing looks cool. And the Trans Alp just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, and that's just that I'm in agreement. It's just It just seems like they had an opportunity to go big, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
They went like, yeah, this will work, which is it probably will. I would say Honda mostly knows what they're doing.
I think it'll still sell well. I think it'll perform well. Mm-hmm. It just won't look well.
Yeah, it just kind of like, I don't know.
Maybe people will come out. Maybe some companies will come out with some cool mods and stuff to put on it to switch things up.
Yeah,
and you're gonna give it a little bit more of a rugged character. But as stock, it's just kind of meh.
Yeah, and for like this mid-weight ADV bike, actually, do you saw the picture of the 800? Yeah, the V-Strom.
Yep, right there.
Does that have handguards? I can't. Those look like handguards.
It's a little hard to tell, but I have the website pulled up here, so we can look at the gallery real quick.
Handguards.
So it does look like I have handguards, but they're kind of like the cheap plasticky ones, so they probably won't protect your hand in the fall. So that'd be something you replace with some bark busters or something like that.
The reason I ask is currently there are no standard handguards available for the Trans Alp.
Oh, really?
And yeah, again, we're talking midweight ADV bike.
I feel like
maybe I'm spoiled with handguards, but again, without...
Maybe the US spec will have them.
I hope so, yeah.
No, I feel, even if they're not like true handguards with like the metal...
but just the
metal brace, but even plastic handguards just make such a big difference for the wind, especially if you're riding in colder weather.
Yeah.
Because my CB500 did not have handguards, and boy, did that did not help in cold weather.
No.
My Tiger 900 does have handguards and heated grips, and heated grips is the big feature that I was looking for when I was shopping for a new bike. That and cruise control, and it makes such a big difference because I rode through like mid 40 degree temperature weather in my summer gloves with the heated grips on, and my fingers didn't go numb.
That was Colorado, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was in between Price and Provo, that passage in Utah, and it got rough. Very cold. Yeah. And I did not bring my winter gloves because I didn't expect it to get that cold towards the end of May, but it did. And I was really thankful that I had handguards to keep the wind off my hands and heated grips to
you just
keep
don't
my palms
know
warm.
Yeah, like you just don't know what's going to happen on long trips, and I'm just looking at some of these like the I'm just looking at some of like the notes and pictures here. Like you just don't know what's going to happen like awful weather like that, you know, like because I was also in summer gloves and I had heated grips and all that, and it saved me, but it was still uncomfortable.
It was still uncomfortable, but it was like you won't lose your fingers. They won't start going numb and affect your control of the bike and stuff. And that's the important thing. Yeah, we did have to stop like once, I think, so I can like hold my hands near my engine. I had to adjust my cuffs because I kept getting cold air flowing up there. But the V-Strom, like I have more pictures pulled up here.
Oh yeah, so
like it's a very good looking bike. It has a nice profile. It's got the big ADV beak, which I personally like. Some people might not.
Yeah.
And I think both of them, the big downside to both of them is look at the exhaust. And I've heard this, and I kind of read about this like on Reddit and stuff. People are saying it's a very low slung exhaust for an ADV bike.
Oh, on the V-Strom.
On the V-Strom and the Trans Alp, I think is kind of fairly low to the ground.
Do you still have the picture of the Trans Alp too?
I think I don't know if it has the exhaust side on there. Let's take that off.
Let's see, because I mean that.
Yep. I mean, yeah, it's pretty low as well.
I don't know if you can compare the two for people. If they're for video or for those who aren't audio listeners.
Oops.
That's us.
That's us moving. So that probably recorded. There we go. We'll put that over your face for a minute.
So it's like, well, you can't really see it on that side.
Yeah, you can't really see the exhaust.
They both look kind of low. If I'm being honest.
But I think both the exhausts look a little low, which I don't know, could be an issue.
But that I don't know what's going on with like the V-Strom, but one thing available like immediately for information is that there is an engine sump, a sump guard, cool. Available for the Trans Alp. So like they're going to be making it.
That's very good. And Honda generally has a pretty good collection of like accessories and stuff for their bikes. But look at this close up of the headlight. Yeah, it's just so much better.
It looks a lot better. It looks like maybe it's not like beautiful or it's not. I wouldn't say like. Not iconic, but like
it's distinct.
It's distinct. Whereas like the Trans Alps looks are distinct, but not for the reasons you'd want. Like
so, but those are the bikes, and those are the two bikes that we really wanted to talk about. Mainly the Trans Alp, because we've been waiting for
We had words.
a midweight Honda ADV for a while, and they came out with one, and looks wise, it was just kind of
what could have been
disappointing.
What could have been. Because I looked at the old Trans Alps, I was like, yeah, like those looks never, they wouldn't have kept up to today's like aesthetics or standards and stuff. But I think at the very least they could have like paid some sort of homage to
some kind of like I agree.
Yeah, like to the old Trans Alp days. And like because because I think if I remember right, that was also a two headlight bike. I might be thinking back to the old.
You might be thinking of the old Africa Twin, but I
probably am.
I think the Trans Alp just had like a square, like
that's right.
Headlamp.
My bad. Yeah, but it's
like a square light in the middle. I think maybe some of the newer models had like a round one as well in the front.
Yeah, no, you're right. I
still think it was like much more distinct then, and they could have done something like that. Just basically take the old, like similar look as the old headlight, but modernize it, put some LEDs and stuff in there.
Yeah,
so
and if they absolutely, and if Honda's moving forward, if like the triangle beak nose thing, if that's what they really wanted, like I think they could have updated that a little bit better.
I think so too. And going back to my like CB500X, I remember the headlight that it had on it, which I think is very similar to the one the Trans Alp has. It is not a bright headlight.
No,
that thing was dim. I had to turn my brights on pretty much most of the time in the dark.
This is conjecture, but I think they updated the headlight on like the 2022 models for the CB500X.
Okay.
Because they have those gold forks on them, the upside down forks on those ones now. And I think they did like actually add like an LED strip.
I think you're right. It does have the little LED strip instead of just the little lights on the side. So hopefully it's much brighter than the old one.
Yeah.
Because when I got my Triumph and I turned on that headlight, I was just like, damn, this thing is the sun. I don't even need to use the brights on this because it just lights up the road unless it's like super dark and I just need the extra light. And it's a great headlight, and so hopefully Honda improved their headlights.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. But like, I don't know. In the meantime, like I won't be. I guess I'd tell my friends who are looking to ride, like, hey, like,
check out the V-Strom and check out the Trans Alp.
Yeah, you're
pick which one you like.
You don't want to spend so much money. I didn't either.
No.
I didn't want to drop 16 whatever. Because especially if
it's a lot.
yeah, that's a lot. And motorcycling's expensive. Like that conversation's been had 1,000 times by every rider.
Well, we'll make that a topic for the next podcast.
But it's like for someone like if you're in your 30s or you're a responsible adult, you're not going to be an idiot. Like full send on a Hayabusa or or a V twin or no, not V twin, Panic L V2. Yeah. If you're whatever that is, like if you could easily pull off a 900 750 cc
I think you can
ADV bike.
If you're a responsible person, I think you could pull off pretty much any size bike from the start, as long as one, you can afford it, have the money to pay for it, and two, know that you're responsible enough that you can like grow into that power.
And that's
which is kind of nice because then you might not be so tempted to buy a new bike,
right?
A year later.
I mean, 8 months. I had my first bike 8 months.
And I had mine.
You did a lot better than me.
I had mine almost 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had my bike 8 months. I paid it off in 6. I had a 2-month window without a bike payment, and then I found the Scrambler at a price I could swing.
I mean, if I was in your shoes, I probably would buy that too because you got a great deal.
I really did. That was insane. But no, they and maybe we didn't talk about this. I just thought of something. It depends where you live. Like if we live here in the Rockies. We have the option to do all sorts of riding if we wanted to.
That's true.
And for the friends that I have here who want to ride, they're 5'6" or so. They can't hop on a Scrambler or they can. People do.
It's just a little bit harder.
If you're a brand new rider,
bike.
Anyone, doesn't matter your height, anyone can ride whatever size bike they want.
Yeah.
But if you're a brand new rider, the intimidation is there, especially for a large bike.
Very much so.
And so I think with a midweight thing, and I think that's why I was saying to my friend, like, hey, like maybe look at the Trans Alp, maybe look at the V-Strom.
Yeah.
But I think if I haven't asked him because I'm not trying to influence him one way or the other,
Yeah.
But I was just saying, hey, you can just go check out these bikes. I'm not going to say anything about looks.
Exactly.
But I think these could be bikes that you could have forever.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I'm just going to make fun of them for it. Sort of
I think to kind of like wrap things up, we can kind of touch on some of the other bikes that were announced, and it wasn't just ADV bikes and stuff, but we both saw the new. We didn't see it because we weren't actually there. We saw it on the internet. Yeah. We're not cool enough to go there, but the Royal Enfield, the Meteor 650.
That's right. Yeah.
So they had like a new color for it and stuff like that, and I think that's like a beautiful looking, classic looking motorcycle.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
I have to look that up really quick. But yeah, keep talking.
Ducati Desert X, they announced their new livery color and stuff. It's like that black and reddish looking one.
And we were just at a dealership.
Yeah, we were just at a Ducati dealership the other day looking at those in person, and I gotta say, that's how you do a distinct looking ATV bike. They look very good.
They look very good.
Yeah. I love just the dual headlight setup and stuff like that. They look very rugged. Then you had a few bikes from like I think the Aprilia. They had like their Touareg 650.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We didn't even talk about the 650.
Nope, we did not, because we were just focused on the two like cheaper ATV bikes.
I wonder how much that one's going to be. Maybe we should bring that up next time.
I think we should.
Yeah.
We'll touch on it next time, but yeah. So that's another like midway ADV bike and stuff.
And that's a whole other discussion, because now we're looking at another European brand, and well, I'm not going to open the door of Italian reliability and
but
dealer network.
In general, Japanese bikes are known more for their reliability.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you have cheaper parts, more accessible, more dealerships and things like that in general for Japanese bikes versus European ones. So that kind of saves a lot of money down the road too.
Yeah, I'm sure. I think we live in an area where maybe our European market is a little bit anorexic, in the sense of we don't have as much as we would if we were on the West Coast or back east.
I mean, there's 5 Honda dealerships around me, and there's only one Triumph dealer.
There's one Triumph dealer in our entire state.
Yeah. So it just kind of depends. But yeah, Aprilia had their ADV bike, which
I forgot about the Touareg.
It does look pretty good. It reminds me a little bit of the Africa Twin, because it's got dual headlight setup as well, kind of a mean cowl.
Yeah, it did. I remember when it was first announced, months ago or however long ago it was. I saw it was that's a bike to keep an eye on for a new rider. It's a little 650, so it's not going to be as big as the Trans Alp or the 800D. But
and Aprilia, I don't even know where you can buy them in Utah. That's the other issue.
I see them around. People are getting them somewhere.
Yeah, I mainly see their sport bikes. So I don't. Yeah, I don't think they have too many other ADV bikes and things. So basically, that's about it. And I mean, there was a few other updates and stuff too, different colors of different other manufacturers, but I don't have quite the full list.
We haven't. I did not even
what they have.
I did not prepare at all for the
next time. We'll be more prepared.
So
for this,
I was just so focused on being on my disappointment in the
Trans Alp.
So,
it was a little bit of a bummer.
So
it would have just been nice to see. So I have a list of all the new stuff. So we
gotcha.
Pull up the Trans Alp.
We've covered that pretty extensively. I think
the V-Strom 800 ZE. That's the other one. So Benelli.
I didn't know they made it.
So they made an ADV bike.
Is it easy to put that up? Because that's a little.
I think it'll take me a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll save it for next time.
It looks bigger too.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's an 800.
So it's an 800. It's Italian Chinese brand. So is that MV Agusta? So we have a lot more to talk about than we initially thought.
I think this was a good way to first start out of here's a Trans Alp. These are going to be somewhat affordable midweight ADV bikes. And
I don't even know how many of these are going to make it to the States. And this is definitely not I don't think this would be considered a midweight, because it is a 931cc that makes over 100 horsepower. So
it's
not your starter bike.
No, that looks pretty tall too, which we can have.
Yeah. Another Benelli. And there was an Augusta, I think, but maybe I mistaken with the Aprilia, or not the Aprilia. Sorry, with the MV Augusta. Maybe that's what I was thinking of instead of the Aprilia Touareg.
I didn't even look into any of those, so that was.
But those are the other bikes that were kind of announced there. But we kind of wanted to focus on the two cheaper, more accessible category of the
Yeah.
midweight ADV bikes.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the Touareg would be. Maybe that isn't a lower price point. I don't know.
It is. Well, let's just double check real quick.
Because in my mind, I was thinking of like if somebody was going to come to me and say like, hey, I have. I want to get an ADV bike. I want a bike that can do it all.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I don't want to spend, again, it's all relative.
Touareg 660. So I actually don't know if this was announced.
I think it was announced a while ago.
I think it was a while ago. I just kind of forgot about it. But that looks good.
That's how you make a good looking motorcycle.
That's a good looking motorcycle. So the one I was thinking this was this MV Augusta.
Okay.
So not the Aprilia, but the MV Augusta was round headlights and very distinct look to it. So, scratch the Aprilia. But the MV Augusta, like just looking at it, looks like it's going to be a much more of an expensive bike than any of the.
And if it's a 900, like that's going to be like
Yeah, you're looking at.
It kind of sounds almost unfair.
Yeah. I mean, comparing that to like a 700cc, 760cc bike.
Yeah, I was thinking of those bikes. Yeah, they're just going to be like, this is like at a approachable price point.
Yep.
I feel like the problem with like recommending a 10 or a 700 is like so again back to the height issue. That is a tall bike.
Very tall bike.
So and not that they can't do it, but I would be.
It's a little more intimidating.
I'm very empathetic toward like being intimidated as a new rider.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, a Honda 500 Rebel scared me.
Yeah.
Starting out,
Yeah,
so
it's much easier to start out on like a bit of a smaller bike that you can flat foot.
Sitting on. And you are gonna like have your moments like where you misjudge your throttle input or your brake input, and like it's better to have those experiences like on a more tame bike.
Exactly.
And so your rider starting out on a larger one is going to have to face that. So if they have like something that's approachable, then I think that would be just in their benefit. But
makes sense.
I'm not here to talk for people's lives. That's just thoughts I've had in getting friends riding.
Sweet.
So
should we wrap it
up?
I
think that's a good point to stop. I think anything more is just word vomit.
So. So we'll publish this and see how it goes. And we'll do better next time and be a little bit more prepared.
We need do an outro. It's like. I don't know if
I don't have anything recorded.
Do they know our names?
Do they know our names?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm Gleb. This is Mitch.
I'm Mitch. This was our first podcast.
This is our first podcast, and we'll see if we do more and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Anyways, thank you so much for listening and or watching if you're on YouTube.
Yep.
Okay, bye.